Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer.
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation.
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews, and we have a very special, very exciting video for you today. Nick here.
Gabe. And of course, there needs no introduction for the two people at the top or bottom of our screen. I don't know where it's at right there. The great and beautiful Achara Kirk and Jaby. Listen, I'm fanboying out right now. I'm gonna try to do my best, guys. You guys know though, I'm the one that goes off the rails. So if I'm quiet, it's because of that. I'm just like my first already.
Yeah, Gabe has got a great talent for making a 10-minute reaction into a 25-minute video, with me just sitting there doing this. So we're going to try to keep and tighten up. Jaby, Achara, please do us a huge favor and say hello to our audience, which probably more than likely was originally your audience as well.
Okay.
What's up?
Hello, Boring Review audience. How's it going out there?
Hi.
How'd you guys come up with your name?
So it's I'm a very sarcastic person by nature, and it doesn't really bode too well for a lot of our audience. So I got to kind of explain myself sometimes. But basically, I think I'm somewhat of a exciting person, but I'm not going to be like over exciting or over personality wise. So I just wanted to be honest with the audience and say, hey, it might be boring, but hopefully it'll be intellectual. But if you find that you like it, then I exceeded your expectations. So for me, it was a win-win situation.
You don't seem very boring.
I mean, just read some of our comments and you'll see. I'm just kidding.
Being perfectly frank, like we haven't had a chance to watch any of your content yet, but I just saw you in the chat and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So we went for it. I mean, we have the setup for doing an interview anytime. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But you sound just like in the way you carry yourself. You don't sound like you're a low energy kind of individual. You seem like you've got high energy, but maybe that's different over the stretch of a 25-minute video where you're nodding.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think also, as you know, as you do more YouTube and as you do more videos, you kind of liven up a little bit and you find yourself more comfortable in front of the camera. So I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment. I'll take that as a win right now. But we're so happy to be able to have Jaby and Achara with us. We reached out to them not too long ago and they were gracious with their time. So we are here to ask them as many questions as we can. We appreciate their time. And just before we started recording, Jaby was going to talk to us a little bit about the real rejects. He asked if I knew about them. Obviously, I know about Greg and Jeremy or John. I almost said Jeremy. One of my questions I was going to ask that Gay doesn't want me to ask, right? They're early videos. Ryan Wright and Jeremy, right?
Yes.
Ryan Wright and Jeremy.
Yeah.
I want to know like the origination of those names, but Gabe's like, why do you want to ask that? That's the kind of stuff I'm interested in.
So what happened was Greg wanted to create an alternate personality for YouTube specifically. That's sort of where Jaby comes from as well, was this effort to create an identity for the YouTube space. And so he came up with Ryan Wright, which was his like pseudo perverted personality that would do movie reviews. And he was doing that for a long time. And, John had to come up with his. So it was Jeremy. I don't even remember John being Jeremy, to be honest with you. Like, it was more that Ryan Wright thing stuck out because when me and my brother would hang out with people would call him Ryan. I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha. And like, I'd have to like process it sometimes. And it was always weird. But then what happened was he got into this like epic meltdown fight with his girlfriend. And he decided to abandon the Ryan Wright personality and just be himself and be Greg because he got sick of the Ryan Wright personality. It somehow is affecting him his relationship, and he's pretty open about this. So I don't think I'm saying, I mean,
there's a whole video on that.
There's a whole video, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he abandoned that in favor of just being himself and left me behind with Jaby Koay. And I'm like, I'm sticking to this. I've got 1,000 subscribers. I can't abandon them. Like not knowing that like it was going to be almost 2 million, a short while later. So, but I'm happy with the alternate, name because then when someone stops me in the street and says Jaby, I know how they know who I am because otherwise they would say my real name. So, which everybody knows also now.
Yeah.
So what happened with, I was going to tell you the history of how I got into this because you guys said you stumbled into it basically. Yes. And Gregory was doing reaction videos before me. I feel like I've told the story a million times. So forgive me if I skip any important parts. Greg was doing reaction stuff before me. and movie reviews. And I was working in casting, commercial casting, and I had reached like my limit with it. Like I learned it, and I was like, I'm done with this particular part of the industry. Like I don't mind doing acting in commercials, but as far as like running auditions and working that part of it, I wanted out. And I looked at my brother who had, I think, 300,000 subscribers at the time. And I'm like, how do I do what you're doing? Because I don't want to do this anymore. And he said, look, make a goal for 100,000 subscribers. And I said, all right. So it was at the end of 2015, I believe. And forgive me if you've heard any of this before.
No,
It was
I
at the
haven't.
end
This is awesome.
Yeah, it was at the end of 2015. I was like, okay, so I want 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2016. And I noticed that all the stuff I'd been doing up to that point had amassed me about 16,000 subscribers. And I was like, how do I get there? Because I feel like I'm becoming irrelevant. And my brother's got like this strong following with him and Tyrone Magnus and Grace Randolph. Like collectively, like they owned the reaction thing. And I'm like, I feel like I'm irrelevant. So I started looking at international stuff because I knew that they weren't doing that so much. And I stumbled upon 2 Indian films. And I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. I don't think anyone else in the Western, side of things is doing Indian stuff. So I just did it, not knowing there was a dude named Tomapuk, not knowing there was a group named Bali Fools. And so those videos just blew up. And I had no idea that they blew up because I was on some spiritual retreat at the time dealing with a relationship that just ended. And it exploded from there. And I hit my goal for the end of 2016 by March of 2016.
Wow.
And it just kept going from there. Yeah. So like I am forever grateful to India for how it's changed my life completely. Yeah. That's where it all started.
That's awesome. Because one of my questions was, I'm pretty sure your first reaction was Nirja. Correct me if I'm wrong. That trailer reaction. I was going to ask what got you into it.
Stalker, right?
Salakadus and Nirja.
And Nirja. Those are the two.
Yeah, those are the two. Yeah. Both of
so
those.
Achara, I'm going to ask you, like, what was it just knowing Jaby? Because maybe a little bit more of your history. We saw you in the great film Stalker. And honestly, we both watched that. We both absolutely love that. We've been talking about it nonstop since we watched it. I love Hunter. Jaby, we're going to talk a little bit about how you got beefed up for that film. But yeah, man, he was stacked. But Achara, is that where you and Jaby first met? Was for Stalker? Did you guys know each other beforehand?
So actually I met Anthony, Jaby,
rather. Anthony's my legal name.
His legal name. So I met him in casting because I was acting at the time. So I was at this audition. It was a non-union audition. It was a complete mess. And then this guy comes out of the room. He's running the audition and he's all like, he's having a bad day. And he comes out and he's like, you guys, if you just listen to me, you can get out of here. And we're like 2 hours behind. I'm really scared that I'm going to be late for like my other job. And I'm just like, whoa, I thought I was having a bad day. This guy's having a really bad day. And so
have you guys worked with non-union talent at all? I don't know how versed in the industry you are. Like non-union talent is just like notorious for not having their shit together. Excuse my language. It's less
except for me.
Except for Achara. She was like, I mean, that's not hyperbole. Like that's true. Like she had her shit together. She was one of the few non-union actresses that like actually did a good job that day. Because most of the time you're like, oh, could you just? And it's like working with children. It's tough. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I was like, okay, this guy's having a bad day, and well, everyone knows your real name anyway, so I can tell this part of the story, right? So I'm just sitting there, and then he comes out. I don't know what he's talking about, and then he's talking to this guy, and this guy goes, "Hey, what's your name?" And he goes, "Oh, Anthony Alba." And then the guy goes, oh, any relation to Jessica Alba? And his face just looks like thunder.
But like in my defense at the time, like everybody was asking me that question.
I'm sure you were sick of it.
I'm on the phone with Sprint, tech support, and they asked me the same question. I'm like, how dare you? Like everybody was. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. and so he's all like, no, Alba means white in Italian. And I was like, oh, this guy. I'm never going to forget that name. And so I go into the room finally after like 2 hours. And then we're about to begin. And he goes, oh, are you a Hapa? And I'm like, yeah. Right. A Hapa, like half Asian, half white. Right. And
have you guys heard that term before?
First time.
You're gonna hear it more as the years come because you're seeing more of them in the industry. But Hapa means half Asian, half something else.
Yeah. And then
so
I was like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then just carries on like nothing happened. I'm like, okay. Anyway, whatever. So do the audition, go back home, and like 6 months pass or something, and I meet you again at this boba shop in Santa Monica where he was working at the time, and I had just had an audition. So
I wasn't working at the boba shop. I was working at a casting studio by the boba shop.
Yeah, correct.
And I went to the boba shop.
I'm
That
not
would
very
be cool too.
Listen, I like boba.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was grabbing a boba, and then he's there, and he's all like, "Oh, do we know each other?"
I was hitting on her.
He's-
I didn't know her.
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
that was your
like,
go-to line, huh? Did we know each other?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I was like, "Well, actually, you've
It's
auditioned
the first
me
and last
before."
time I tried that line. Yeah.
Didn't
Well,
work
I
out
would
very-
say the line worked out pretty good, right? I mean,
No, it didn't.
it did.
a great partnership. I know you guys aren't together, but a great partnership in YouTube, right?
Yeah, but I was like, "Oh, yeah, we've worked together. Like, you've auditioned me before." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Are you a Hapa?" And I was like, "Yeah, you asked me that before." And then at this point, he's freaking out because he's like, "Oh no, gotta backpedal." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Do you want to keep in touch on Facebook?" And I was like, "Okay, it's fine." And so we did. And then finally, the last time when he finally remembered who I was, because this to date he did not know who I was, but I knew who he was. I was at another audition. He was running it, and he sees me, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's you! It's been ages."
You're leaving out so many interesting details.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
You're
so
better at
what
this.
happened? What happened was I had met some Hapa girl at a mall in Torrance, California, and we kept in touch on Facebook. And they look so much alike. And so I thought she was in Japan, which she is. That person I'm thinking of is in Japan. And I see her face on the roster. I'm like, oh my God, she's back from Japan. And so when she walks into the audition, which is for Hanes Underwear, mind you, I'm like, oh my God, it's like I haven't seen you in so long. You're like, you're back in town. And she's thinking, I just got back like 2 weeks ago. And she's like, sure, yeah, I'm back in town. I fucked up my story.
You screwed up the story.
It's actually 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the point is that she'd been back for a while, and I was making it sound like,
I just got back.
she just got back. And so then I was like, okay, well, can you take your clothes off? Because it's for Hanes Underwear. And so she
I had to dance
around
in front of him in my underwear.
Yeah, and it's like that clicked in my mind, and I never forgot who she was because I'm like, that's really weird that I haven't seen this person in ages, and now I'm seeing them dance in their underwear. It's like only in LA will something like that happen. So, but then later on I corrected it, and I'm like, oh shoot,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it wasn't the person I was thinking it was.
And then months and months and months later, he invited me via Facebook to be a guest on his channel when things started kicking off. And I'd seen some of his videos that he'd posted, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'll come along and do it. That sounds like a laugh. And so we did. And then when we started working together more closely, that's when I found out that you had absolutely no idea who I was for years.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were doing reaction videos for a long time together, and we became close friends. Her sister was getting married in Thailand, and she brought me along. And we were staying on her sister's property in Thailand.
Yes.
Her older sister's
My
property.
older sister.
And so
that's where Stalker is filmed.
We had the run of the place to ourselves for the most part. So I was like, we need to shoot something. I've got a Canon 5D Mark IV. It's a great camera. We got to shoot something. And I just wrote Stalker in less than 24 hours. We shot it in less than 24 hours. I'm glad you guys like it because
that nearly didn't come out.
That nearly didn't see the light of day because I shot all this footage, and one of my good friends who lives upstairs from me, who I call Raw 2.0, which is a combination of the film Raw 1 and the film 2.0 from South India. And so I call him Raw 2.0 just, as a joke. But I showed it to him. I showed him the footage, and I said, look, man, you're sort of the deciding factor here on whether or not anyone sees this thing because it might be garbage. And so he looked at it and he's like, yeah, I don't think this is a good thing to put out there. But then he's like, hold on, let me play with it. And then he did. And he ended up pulling this thing together in such a way that actually made it very watchable. I still think there are some things that I'd like to go back and George Lucas on it if I could, but mainly
Don't do it.
Yes. But yeah, that's how that came together. It's it came out a year and a half after we shot it, just because of Raw 2.0.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So I got a quick question. you know, we watched that film, and the first thing that came out to mind was Street. Your film came out before Street. Just saying, hot dead girl, hot dead girl. Did you ever think about maybe sending a letter like, hey man, gimmick infringement, somebody owe me some royalty, something? Because man, that's just the ideas are so similar. But you know, all jokes aside, that was, it's funny you say you don't like it. The score, like the music alone, man, was so atmosphere building. That was so cool, man. And I was like, wow, you filmed that in 2 days and you wrote it in a day? What, are you kidding me?
Yeah. The music was all him. He came up with that track. It was very Nolan, Hans Zimmer inspired. Like
Yes.
what's the one with the World War One, I believe.
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. Yeah. So he got inspiration from the Dunkirk soundtrack.
Well, I was gonna say it took Nick like 2 years to write his book, man. A little drive by there.
Hey, no one's reacted to my book the way people reacted to Stalker. Have you seen? Well, it's on your playlist, so of course you've seen it. But there's several reactions to your film Stalker, which I think is pretty awesome. As you know, a creator of some kind.
Yeah, man. The fact that you wrote a book is amazing. Most people will start and never finish. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The problem is I've written
at least 3. I've written at least 3 that never finished. You know,
it's hard to finish.
I've written the second one, but the editing is just such a beast. Talking about editing, I'm just making a prediction here because I have no idea. But I think I saw like a quick snippet on one of Jaby's videos, one of your videos a few months ago. Achara, do you do the majority of the editing, half of the editing, all of the editing, or none of the editing? Because I get the impression that you do a lot of the editing because you were in the room working on some videos at the time. I can't remember what the video I was watching about. So I'm just curious.
Well, it's kind of changed now. So in the beginning, Jaby was editing everything, and then when I joined the team, he was like, "I'm going to teach you how to edit." And then I was like, "Okay."
It was a brutal process.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I don't love editing. I don't think I'm a fantastic editor. Everything I know, I learned from Jaby, and so for a while, I was doing the bulk of the editing just to kind of alleviate some pressure from him. And then we've added on more people to the team. So now I'm just kind of overseeing it and going, yes, approve, no, fix. Wow. And then every now and then Jaby will jump in and then do like a super fun edit. And so if anyone goes like, oh my God, that was like a really fun edit, I'm like, yeah, that wasn't me. That was this guy.
Real quick, how's our audio for you guys? Is it fine?
Perfect.
That's perfect. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
And there's no lag too, which I'm super excited about. It's going great so far.
Yeah, what she explained is pretty accurate. It started out with just me, evolved to have her, and then we got my sister involved, and we've hired a couple more editors since then. So we're trying to spread the work out because we're trying to do more than what we do now. We have like 4 channels that we're running simultaneously, so it's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
which is so amazing. I mean, it's the power in Jaby. I'm going to be feeding on your ego a little bit here, but the power of Jaby and Achara is the fact that you had that situation with the parade that you guys were doing the live video for, right? And then you got that strike. And you're like, I'm just going to start another channel. And if you guys can just subscribe to that and, watch this, that'd be like within 24 hours, this guy gets 32,000 subscribers or some craziness. And, just like that, it's like, now we have a channel for our live videos. And that's the power of Jaby. I mean, congratulations to you for building that, because when I go on your YouTube channel, I see, been around since 2006, and you were doing different things, and you were doing your short films. The one film, Silhouette Off the Pages, is fantastic, by the way. I love that whole idea of taking something that you're putting together, that you're writing, but then making that its own little like romantic situation. Fantastic. Talking about Hunter for a second, I'm going all over the place, but I love these short films. The actress in there, I have her name written down here.
Did you watch Silhouette of the Pages? I don't think I've ever shown that to you. I'm embarrassed by that. But
that's a great one.
I have a little story about that. Are you guys super like techie and like cameras and stuff?
No, everything I know about tech is what I've learned just trying to manage a YouTube channel.
Okay. So there's a camera called the HVX 200, and it was kind of the first of its kind. Before the HVX 200 by Panasonic, there was the DVX 100. And it was the first camera available to prosumers like ourselves where we could shoot 24p. Now 24p is standard in things like iPhones and stuff like that. But before then, it was just in this DVX camera, and then it was shooting at 480p. And then the Panasonic came out with the HVX 200, which shoots at 720p and 1080p. And you had these cards that you would work with. And so it was 2 card slots. We shot Silhouette of the Pages, and we only had like 1 card or something at the time. and I offloaded the footage, and I thought I did. I only offloaded like half the footage, and then we kept shooting. So half of our footage for that short film was just gone.
Oh.
And Skeeter was livid. Skeeter was the one who directed it. He was livid. And then I was like, you know what? I think we have a way of putting this together still. And we just, whatever we could do with that short film, we made it work. I was like, I hope someone likes this. And for the longest time, it was actually the most popular video on my channel. I don't know why, but that was more popular than the action stuff for the longest time. So,
and if I could, I mean, honestly, that was the first of your short films that I had seen. And I think it's such an interesting concept. I think it's one of those concepts where if you like pitch that to some guy in Hollywood, they're going to be like, I'm not sure. But when you watch it and you watch it unfold, it's so natural. And I think it's the chemistry between you and the actress, honestly, that really sells it. And it's just such an endearing thing because you're like, listen, I actually wrote this about you. And there's so much context you don't get as you're watching it that fills in the pages as you're watching it. That's what, for me, I was really impressed with. On a side thing, I think it's called Felicia. Is that the one with your brother and the hook? That thing's hilarious.
Yeah.
Greg is out of control.
Yeah. So Greg wrote that because I think Steven Spielberg had like a competition or something a long time ago. And I was just like, we need something for that. And he wrote that. Do you guys know who David Henry is by chance?
No.
He's like a kind of a Disney star as a kid. He's evolved into more of a film producer and director now, but at the time he was like on Disney a lot. And so we actually shot that at his house in one of his like nice bedrooms. So Greg wrote that, and like I made it work. So Skeeter produced it with me and I directed it we shot on the 24p, I believe, on the Panasonic DVX 100.
But this time you got all the footage.
This time we got all the footage. Yeah. Yeah. It was a fun little piece. And the craziest thing about that short film was the audition process, because, you know, if you ever try to do a short film in LA, it's interesting where your hurdles are. I set up an audition at this music studio because it was the only place I could find for $50 for 2 hours. And we had a lot of people on the slate to come in, like, I don't know, 100 people. And one person showed up from those 100 people, and one other person showed up that I called directly. And so the person I called directly just wasn't quite right for it. The one person who showed up from the audition list was like, it's like I had no choice. She was, thank God she was good. It just happened to work out. Yeah. So that's how that worked.
Jaby, I gotta ask you, man, where do you find a studio in LA for $50, bro? My brother-in-law, you mentioned LA a few times. You know the club Nightingale?
No.
It opened about maybe 2 years ago. He opened it. He actually ran a club out here in Vegas. He went out there, opened it up. He's back in Vegas now. But bro, LA is ridiculously expensive. Like literally, my house is almost 3,000 square feet and my mortgage is $1,800. His rent was $2,000, and you know he had to pay an extra $150. I'm like, Jaby must have been in some really seedy neighborhoods for a $50 studio, man. Because I'm like, a neighborhood I wouldn't go to. Like, are you serious, man? Oh man.
Well, if you look at the date of that was published, it was years ago. And so it was in North Hollywood, which was more up and coming at the time, like Valley Village, that area.
Okay,
it's like NoHo Arts District. And so you could find deals here and there. But it's like, as a musician, I'm not a musician, but like that was a space for musicians to just kind of rent and jam out for like an hour or two. And so they had a pretty good deal. If you rented it for 2 hours, you get it for $25 an hour. Now that same space, if it still exists, is going to be a lot more expensive, I'm sure, because this was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, inflation.
I gotta, before I forget, one of my questions were, because you mentioned about or Nick mentioned about the parade that you guys did live. Do copyright claims drive you? Now this may be a little bit different because you were on the commercial side of it as well, right? You produce commercials, you did casting yourself for commercials, but do they drive you as crazy as they drive, especially when it's like a movie trailer? Like, we're promoting your film. Like, are you serious right now? But you may have a different perspective because you guys are both, you've been acting and on that side of the business. Yeah.
So with regards to commercials, I've only produced one commercial, and it was a non-union commercial. But mostly I've just done the casting. Like, my job was called session running. So the casting director was my boss, and I would direct the actors through the audition process based on the instructions I got from the casting director. And I would also work in commercials. So that's my attachment there. But as far as the copyright claims goes, You know, that's something that I think we all sort of struggle with in this realm. It's just a byproduct. You know, it's part and parcel for what you're dealing with here. And we have tried our best to pull the strings that we can to get copyright claims off of our backs whenever they show up. Like, we have made friends over the years with big companies like T-Series, for instance. Before T-Series hit 1 billion subscribers, or not billions, what am I saying? 100 million subscribers. Yeah, whatever it was, when they were going head to head with PewDiePie. Like, I had made friends with them, thankfully. And so every once in a great while, I'll pull on that lever and be like, hey, can we get this music video copyright claim, you know, released? And they'll help us out. But it's because I use that sparingly. But like, we had a connection with, I don't want to say the name of the company, but we had a connection with a company that helped us get in contact with Eros, one of the biggest Indian film companies.
Yeah.
And even with that, like, it was hard to get copyright claims released. And my contact there was in India, talking to different film studios, going, oh, we like Jaby. Like, these studios were telling my contact, we like Jaby. How do we get him to do more of our trailers? And my contact was like, well, stop hitting him with copyright claims.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, even with, okay, you know who Tiger Shroff is, obviously, right? He's a friend of mine, and he'll put out a music video, and I'll ask him, can I do your music video? Can I do a reaction to it? He says, of course. I said, okay, but I'm going to need your help with getting the copyright claim released. So even when he is helping me, I'm having a hard time fighting copyright claims. So even at the highest levels,
he's the artist.
He's the artist, and it's complicated. And so you just, you know, you pick your battles when it comes to copyright claims, because I have done a little bit of research, both on the American and the Indian side, and we are within our rights so long as we make it transformative. And all that really it takes to make it transformative is the fact that you're providing a reaction of some kind and a substantial commentary to go along with it. That makes it transformative. You're within your legal parameters to do what you're doing. If you're just throwing up the trailer, or if you're just like, you know, I guess, you know, if you're not making it different somehow, then you're not within your legal parameters. You know?
So
as far as I understand, but I've shown it to lawyers, and they're like, yeah, it seems like you're doing everything right. You can fight it.
Yeah, like what good will that do? But some, you know, oftentimes the film companies themselves, you know, it's like an automatic thing.
Right.
And usually if you try and dispute it, I'd say there's like a 50% chance of them releasing it.
They're usually cool about it. It's YouTube is so scared of getting sued. That's where the copyright claims are often coming from these days.
Yeah.
Just automatic, you know.
But the music companies, forget about it.
Yeah, the music. Yeah, exactly. It's a bit, to answer your question in short, it's frustrating for us as well.
Yeah.
This might be a question that our audience is not interested at all, but I'm going to be a little selfish here. I've always been told with copyright claims, don't even bother disputing it, because there's just no point, and it could get your channel in more trouble. I'm not talking about strikes, just copyright claims. Your experience, you said it's not really that dangerous. You can try. You're just not always going to win out at the end. Is that correct?
Always fight copyright claims.
Always try.
Always be fighting copyright claims. Like Alec Baldwin said in Glengarry Glen Ross, always fight copyright claims. So that was the line.
I like the reference. I like that's great advice, because I haven't even touched it. All right, so to switch things up a little bit, I think it was on Instagram, but it might have been on Twitter. Gabe handles the Twitter, I handled the Instagram, and you posted a video, Jaby, where you were like kicking the butt out of 2020. I think it was like on your driveway or something like that. Those were some awesome moves. And then I found out, like, this guy actually knows what he's doing. He's not just messing around like I would be doing in my backyard, breaking my back. So I see other videos where you've done martial arts. You had that one fight scene from, oh gosh, I just watched it, with the guy in the dojo. You've been doing martial arts for some time, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't been practicing in a while because of lockdown, but yeah.
So what would you say is your biggest accomplishment in the world of martial arts?
Oh gosh. I try to.
That you're most proud of.
Yeah, I try to keep that extremely low key and humble. Like, my agents for acting have often tried to send me out for martial arts auditions. I'm like, please don't do that. Just please. Let's keep this on the down low, because I know people who are like professional stunt guys that are going out for the same exact thing that are way better than me. And he's like, you don't have confidence in yourself. I'm like, it's not the confidence. It's that I know who's good and I know where I stand. There's nothing wrong with knowing where you stand. I've been doing Taekwondo and Hapkido since I was 12 years old. So for a long time. I don't want to date myself. So What was your question? Oh, so how, like, what
What's
was my
your-
proudest
like,
accomplishment?
Your biggest accomplishment.
You know, for me, this is gonna sound quite lame, but like my biggest accomplishment is just teaching kids. You know, I had a class that I was running for a long time, for years, at a martial arts studio that's now no longer there because of pandemic. But yeah, like I would instill these children with, you know, martial arts and whatnot, and the parents could see the impact that I had on them and how different it was from the other teachers there. Not to toot my own horn, but like I had a way of connecting with kids, and it was really cool. It was really cool to just have that sort of experience, to be able to impart knowledge to these children. For me, like that was way cooler than any medals I got in martial arts ever. Like I have medals ranging like from first place to third place, or to no medals at all, depending on what happened in that particular tournament. But like that's not the thing that sticks with me. What sticks with me is imparting knowledge onto children, you know, who just like want that. I don't know. I don't want to call it a father figure, but just want that teacher, that instructor that like really tries to get through to them, you know, like my favorite teachers did.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Listen, we can understand that as educators. I'll tell you, some of the proudest moments I've had is when a student that I've had, I'm dating myself 5-10 years ago, sent me an email out of the blue and like, hey, do you remember me, Stalker? Yeah, I remember you. And I'm like, okay, what class was this again? And they're like, oh, you made such an impact. You're one of my favorite teachers. Like, and it's a small thing, but for me, so I understand just impacting one life or changing one life is amazing. So working with children is absolutely fulfilling. So I definitely, I understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, that's not a lame answer at all, because both of us are teachers. That's our full-time profession. And we definitely understand the importance of that. Me, myself, my youngest son, he was in jiu-jitsu before COVID. We had just got him started about 5 months before that. And then COVID hit, and me and my wife decided to pull him for a little while. But he had a few instructors, but there were some that were just really, really good with the boys, maybe better than others. And so that's a beautiful answer. I love that. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep it up. It's tough because like when you don't do it for a while, my dad always used to say, like, if you don't play piano for a long time, you forget everything. And it's like, and he practiced for a long time to play piano. And but with martial arts, it's like she got shocked a couple of years ago because I hadn't flipped in a long time, and I'm like, I don't know if I can still do this. And so we went to my friend's place, Joining All Movement, and I just started busting out flips left and right. And she's just like, what the hell? Who is this guy that I've been hanging out with for a long time? Because it's like there's some stuff that's just there, like muscle memory, but then the next day it sucks. Like your body's destroyed, you know. So every like that, what you're talking about, what kicked off this part of the conversation, the FU 2020 brand deal that we did. My body was destroyed the next day. Like I could barely walk the next day. Like I had to go through my healing process, and since then I haven't thrown any kicks at all.
Yeah,
just out of sheer laziness.
I was the one that pitched that to you.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is going to be a fantastic idea. I pitch it to the brand and everything, and they're like, that's great. And then I'm like, Jaby, that's what you're doing. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
What did you volunteer me for? I'm like, just trust me, it's gonna be great.
I was not happy about that for a while because it was hurting.
Well, and it looks like I'm sure you stretched and you got limber, but it looked like a one take type of thing. Is that what it was?
No, not at all.
Well,
it was
it's like no.
The best take.
We picked the best takes. Yeah, we shot. See, the thing when I go out to, or when I was going out for martial arts auditions, the people that I go up against are excellent at throwing tricking combos. Me, I do one trick at a time. Like, and I focus really hard on that one trick, like whether it's a back handspring or a back tuck or a butterfly twist or 540, 720, whatever the tricks are. I'm good at like one thing. But like my friends who have been doing this since they were yay high, they just combine it all together. They're leaping off one leg and flipping and flipping and flipping and flipping off that one leg. I'm like, I don't know where that comes from and how your knee still works, but like I don't know how to do that. So that's why I don't like to go out for martial arts auditions, because I know what I'm up against and I'm not trying to do that to my body.
You're really successful, so it doesn't seem like you need to do that and do that to your body anytime soon.
Right. But I mean, we'll see. Because when you're friends with someone like Tiger Shroff and you're hoping to work with them, most likely if you're going to work with them at all, it's going to be in a fight scene situation. So I'm going to have to start training now again, get my body ready again.
That's awesome. Achara, quick question. So
Yeah.
I noticed you got like a lot of credits. Stalker, Fringe. I used to watch Fringe too. I don't remember
I
you on
love
there. I'm
that
like,
show.
yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm like, literally blink and you'll miss me.
I was like, I gotta go back and watch it now.
I think it says 2 episodes, right? So we got to blink twice, I guess.
Gotta blink twice, right? Decoy Bird. Do you have any other projects you might be working on in the future? Anything you don't have to obviously let us know, but anything that because you like I said, I didn't realize until we started doing the research, like, wow, oh, they're both actors and both indie industry where we're just two goofballs that are teachers. And my best friend one day told me, bro, I'm starting a YouTube channel. You want to jump on there? And I'm like, let's do it.
Well, actually, I've been working on like a little project over this whole pandemic thing, and it's like a fun little web series teaching people about internet safety, but like in a really funny way. And so I was doing it just via voiceover, and they made these really cute animations for all of us. But actually, last weekend I put myself on tape for it.
Nice.
So that's exciting too, just to get to do some other projects on the side. Yeah.
And let me tell you how important that is, because I have a son who doesn't understand internet safety. My 13-year-old, like, dude, who are you talking to? My friend, where? In Australia? What, dude? What are you talking about? We have a friend in Australia. It's a grown man too. They're playing, whatever, Fortnite or whatnot. And I'm like, dude, internet safety, right? And we don't give away our real names. So that's important, especially for the younger kids, because they don't understand the dangers that lurk on the dark corners of the internet, especially with social media and gaming that has really expanded. Like, he's playing with kids in India, he's playing with kids in Australia. I'm hoping they're kids. You know what I'm saying? So that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
I've been catfished once, so I get the fear.
Wow. So I mean, we got so many awesome questions, but we don't want to take too much of your time. So just a few more. You went to India. You guys both went to India, and you recorded different things that happened. And this kind of ties in with 2 questions. When you started getting big on your channel and people started recognizing you, and especially I think it culminated probably in India when you're walking around and you have people, India, 1.3 billion people, right? A lot of people there, and they're recognizing you and they're wanting to take pictures and this and that. Was that your first experience, kind of like with that fan experience? And if it was, what was that like? Because like me and Gabe, we're like everyday men. And I know as YouTube creators, you guys are regular people too. You just have a lot more eyes on you. What was that like? And that, Jaby first and Achara, what was that like just to have that fan experience?
Well, I started experiencing that here first every now and then, where like I went to a restaurant in San Francisco, an Indian restaurant with my friend and Ravina, and this waiter is like, Jaby Koay? He's just like chill about it. I'm like, yeah. And that would happen every now and then. I went to Canada and I was waiting in line for one of the like tourist attractions, and this guy in front of me was like, Jaby Koay. It's just like super chill. And that's generally what it was. And we got to India, and there's a company called TVF that we used to do reaction videos for a lot. And we're trying to head to TVF in a rickshaw. And this is something, if you ever go to India, you'll experience yourself, where we tell the rickshaw driver where we want to go. We ask, do you know where this is? And the rickshaw driver says, oh, yeah, absolutely. And he just pulls over to ask where it is to some rando on the street. We had stopped for maybe 15 seconds. Maybe. I think that's exaggerating. It might have been like less, like 10 seconds. And this dude walks up to us and goes, Jaby and Achara, like out of nowhere. The thing is, like, this thing was in motion and stopped, and within 10 seconds, someone came up to the rickshaw and recognized us, and just like, oh, I just want to say I really love your work, guys, and then bounced. Like, I didn't even know where he went. Like, it was so random, and that kind of thing happened a lot. It was trippy, and it's like I don't even know how to describe the feeling, because it's like you imagine a certain kind of feeling when you have that sort of attention on you. And I don't think it ever shows up. At least for me, it never showed up of what I thought it was going to feel like. For me, more than anything, it was more of, I just hope these people have a good experience with me. There's a documentary I hope you guys see if you haven't already, called Conan Can't Be Stopped. It's about Conan O'Brien. Right. And there's a scene in the documentary that stuck with me where he's in the back room after doing a show. And one of his people allows these fans to come into the room. and he greets them. He's very cordial with them. He takes photos with them. He gives them the whole celebrity experience, and then they leave. And then he pulls this person aside and says, "You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to let them in the room. You're supposed to be the barrier between me and them, because once they see me, once they interact with me, I have to be on. I can't not be on. I'm Conan. I have to be on for them. They'll never see me again. That I have to make that experience good. Don't do that." Like, and that really, really stuck with me as a means of saying, like, anytime you're present with someone who recognizes you, you need to be on. You have to give them a good experience, because you don't want them to walk away going, "Oh, Jaby Koay was an asshole." You know,
Yeah.
so like, even if I'm mad as hell about something, I try to make sure that anytime someone recognizes me, I'm immediately in that mode of like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Like, if they want to take a picture or talk for a second, because I'm extremely grateful to them. And so more than anything, it was about like intense work ethic when I was getting recognized, of like, okay, just be on as much as you can. And
And zip up your pants.
and zip up and zip up your pants. I had a bad habit of leaving my fly down. So after coming out of the bathroom, and she didn't tell me until after I took like 50 photos with a bunch
I
of
know.
different people.
No, because it was awkward. These
No.
people just kept coming up, and I didn't have a chance to like get in there. And then when there was a lull, I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, Jaby, your fly was down the whole time."
Yeah. It was a very interesting experience, and there was a point where it's like it sort of wears on you, because you're trying to basically, you know, you ever see Toy Story 2 at the end when Barbie like is done with smiling? It's like, you know,
it's
it's
exhausting.
yeah, exactly. After a while, it's sort of like you feel your, I don't know if it's your nervous system or what. You do feel like kind of exhausted after a while, because you're trying to be as nice as, like, to give them that experience the entire time. You know, when a singer walks off the stage at the end of a concert, it's done. You know, but like wherever we were going, it's like it was kind of like that, where you had to constantly be on. And I appreciated every moment, but it's like at a certain point, you're like, okay, I need a breather. Like, I just need to breathe. And the next time I go, I'm going to make sure that we have at least one security guard of some kind, so that if I feel exhausted, like, they can be the asshole and I don't have to be. Because that's the thing. That's the biggest thing. That's my biggest fear, is coming off as a jerk. And I don't ever want to do that to someone who is like gracious enough to watch the channel a lot, and then gracious enough to come out and try to find us just to take a picture with us. One dude came like 600 kilometers just to meet us.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that was wild.
For 5 minutes. Like, he was
crazy.
gone.
Like,
Well, I can attest, Jaby. Sorry, Achara. I can attest that one of our audience members that is a loyal subscriber said that he was waiting for the updates of where you were going to be, because he was so excited to meet you. And unfortunately, he missed the updates. But I mean, that's the kind of like following you guys have. I don't have to tell you that. Go ahead, Achara. Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, no. It's just, yeah, it was wild, because this guy, he like drove so far to come and just say hi. And that's pretty much all he did, was just say hi and take a picture and then leave. I was
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't drive 600 kilometers to meet someone. I can't believe that he just did that.
Well, I mean, they probably recognize that the likelihood of us coming back to India again anytime soon was probably small.
Which
And
we
so-
haven't been back
Yeah,
in a while.
we haven't been back since then. We kept meaning to, and then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
How was-
2020.
how was your experience?
How was my
Yeah,
experience?
the fan meeting and all that.
I mean, it's still wild for me. So like I don't know if you guys know, but like I actually started working when I was like 12 years old. I did like films and commercials and like music videos and whatever in Thailand. So when I was a teenager, I was like kind of recognized, and people would stop me to say hi or like take pictures or whatever. And I was, you know, an introvert, and kind of just like, this is awkward. And then, you know, didn't really do that for a while. And then to kind of come back and kind of be in like people's faces on the YouTubes, and then have people recognize us and be like, hi. Like usually when they came, when I was in India with Jaby, I'd be like, oh, you want to take a picture with Jaby? Like, here, let me. And they're like, no, you come too. And I'd just be like, oh my God, like, hi. But like kind of the same thing, where it's like, I just want to be nice,
Yeah.
and, you know, just super appreciative of everyone who wants to say hi or, wants to hang out and whatever.
It's also fun though. Like the thing about it is over here, like I'm not gonna lie, there have been instances where we'd come out of an Indian film and then I'd be like, okay, let's hang back, let's see what happens.
Oh my God. I'm like,
Jaby! just to see if anyone recognizes us, and just so we can like have that experience. I mean, it's not something I do anymore, especially because we're not at the theaters anyway. But
yeah.
Like I have been guilty of like just hanging out after an Indian film once or twice, just to see, if anyone comes up to us.
I'll like skulk in the shadows.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, Jaby, because that is such an honest response. Because if I'm in a room with my closest friends and someone gives me a compliment, I kind of get a little bashful and I kind of get embarrassed. Like, I don't want that kind of attention. But what you're doing is you're putting your heart and soul into this channel. When people recognize that and they appreciate that, and you're going to your local theater that's for an Indian film and people are there recognizing you. I love that you said that, because I myself would be very happy about that too. And be like, hey, we're getting through, we're doing something. And the fact that you both said that you stress about giving them that experience. I mean, I'm not a celebrity, but I imagine that's very rare, because, and maybe that's just my jaded opinion of maybe some celebrities that we see on TV, but the fact that you care about their experience, that's awesome. Hats off to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's also beyond Conan. It was also two other celebrity encounters that I've had personally, which was Robin Williams and Keanu Reeves.
Wow.
Both of those things happened to me at very impressionable years. Robin Williams was extremely gracious with me 3 times, because I'm sure you know about E3, all right? Because by the shirt, I'm guessing you're a gamer. So
I'm actually not a huge gamer. I'm a big Super Nintendo junkie, but
okay, that's fair. I was making an assumption. So E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Expo that happens, or used to happen in LA once a year, and it's basically. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
E3.
Yeah,
you already
yeah.
know what E3 is. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
we actually have our own version now here in Vegas, because we're in Vegas before pandemic, and I forget the name of it, but all the gamers go down there. They have a huge tournament there too, and all the different gaming companies come down. It's super cool.
It's entirely possible Comic-Con will be in Vegas when it resumes, but yeah, just because San Diego Convention Center was just like some drama was happening over there. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but at E3, Robin Williams, before he died, obviously, he was a big avid gamer, to the point that he named his daughter Zelda. And so he would go to the Electronic Entertainment Expo every year, and I was fortunate enough to meet him 3 times at E3, and every single time he was very, very gracious with his time. One of the nicest people I'd ever met in my life. And it's like, I knew from those experiences I wanted to be like that. And Keanu Reeves was the same way. Like, he really wanted to make sure that me and my dad, when we met him, had a nice experience with him before disappearing. So, like, I did, it just stays with you. And so, like, and I've met asshole celebrities too. I'm in LA, you meet gamut.
Yeah.
And so I remember, like, I don't want that to be how people know who I am. Like, I want people to know me as like the nice guy when they meet me, so that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I mean, I can speak to that, and Nick knows my part-time job is driving limos. I've been doing it for years. So especially in Vegas, I've driven some celebrities, and you got some ones that are unbelievable. And then you got ones that are just like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? And that's how come they end up on TMZ, because they're not very nice people. So they'll easily throw you under the bus. You know what I'm saying? Right. But definitely.
So we're running on 48 minutes. You guys have been so gracious with your time. If it's okay with you, we got 5 minutes worth of rapid fire questions where we're just going to throw them at you. Just quick responses. If you got the time, that would be fantastic. So
Well, before we do that, though, I just want to say one thing, because you were talking about Spree. I never made the connection between our short film and the possibility of that, but the writers of Spree are actually friends of ours now. So they're cool people. I don't think they would steal our idea, and I think that idea had actually been around for a much longer time than my short film, because like Achara is half Thai, and she grew up with movies like that.
Oh yeah.
So
I love that stuff. The like urban legend ghost ladies.
Yeah. I was like, it just as soon as I saw it, that's what it came back to. No disrespect to I just say stuff. See, already again, another thing I messed up on, Nick. Oh man, I realized they were friends of yours.
Yeah.
Jaby,
it's
thanks for
okay. I mean,
cleaning that up.
yeah, as long as I mean, the most important thing I think, and it seems like you guys are doing it, is the willingness to be malleable with your position and adjust. Because like in the beginning, when I was doing Indian reactions and stuff, it seemed like every single week I would ask about a celebrity that I'm seeing in a trailer for the first time, and the audience was like, "Oh, he's legendary. He's a legend. He's a legend." I'm like, everyone's a freaking legend, and it's like you just have to like adjust, and be more open-minded and accepting. And it seems like you're doing that, and that's key, I think, to success with YouTube in general.
You answered
Yeah,
a question that I was going to
we
ask
can learn a
you
lot.
without having to ask you, because I was going to ask you, one of my questions were, have you ever made a review or done a review that you thought was good? You saw a film that was absolutely amazing, and then the fan reaction or the interaction just it bombed. It absolutely bombed, and you're like, "Am I getting this wrong or whatever?" And you almost have to step back. I'm talking about Monsoon Shootout. I don't know if you've ever seen Monsoon Shootout. I did a solo review on that film. And like, it's Nawazin and Siddiqui, bro. This film is amazing. I loved it. And I got maybe 500 views. I'm like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I was depressed. I was curled up in a fetal position in the corner. Like, my opinion was horrible.
Yeah, you never know what's going to resonate. You never know what's going to take off with the audience. And the truth of the matter is, if you're doing reactions and reviews, the views on the reviews are going to be much lower. And even saying that out loud now, I almost wonder if it would be better to dedicate a channel to movie reviews and just to keep Jaby Koay like the main channel for reactions. Because if you look at other channels where all they do is reviews, their view count on the reviews are substantially higher, and it's like that's frustrating because like there's especially for like the American side, like my brother is very consistent, and his views on reviews for films are much lower than his reactions. And people who've been doing it about as long as he have, like what's his name?
Jeremy Johns.
Jeremy Johns. His and Chris Stuckman, like their views are insane for movie reviews, and they're not running the risk of a copyright claim ever. And so it almost seems like it'd be smart to have a channel dedicated to reviews, because then what happens is YouTube shares that with the audience, and more of your audience is interested in it, and therefore it grows quicker. And so now YouTube is in this age where the smartest thing to do is have channels dedicated to a subject of some kind or a genre of some kind. And so mixing reactions and reviews may not be a thing anymore. It may not be a wise thing to do anymore because of the aforementioned. Like you said, you got 500 views on that video that I would imagine took a lot of time, a lot of thought, way more thought than a reaction video would. And it's frustrating. You're like, why? Like, I want people to see my review. Like, this is me actually giving my opinion that has been thought out, and it gets an insubstantial amount of views compared to the other things you're doing. I totally get that feeling. We've been there. Then other times we put together a review and we're like, let's just not try as hard on the edit. No one's going to watch it anyway. It just makes us feel better to get it out so that at least people know that we watched it and we got our opinion out there, and then it blows up and you're like, why does that have 1 million views? And it's like, you never know what's gonna resonate with people. You have no idea ever. So
sorry, Nick. I was like, I had to get that question in there because I was hurt. Listen, my wife had it was like, therapy. She had to bring me some soup, chicken soup. She's like, it's okay. I went off the reservation. Now everything goes through Nick first. You think we should be doing this? Because I went off the reservation that time, and it did not end well.
Achara's dad has this saying that I like, which is you just gotta let it roll off. What is it? Like water off a duck's back. You just gotta let it roll off, man, like water off a duck's back. And that's everything. My brother told me this key piece of advice a long time ago. He said that when someone leaves a comment on your video, they're not sitting there dwelling on this comment that they left.
A mean comment,
whatever, even but positive as well. Like no one's sitting there looking at the comment that they left you. You're sitting there looking at the comment that they left you, and you're making a mountain out of a molehill off of this comment emotionally. It's like, but they don't even care anymore. They've already moved on to the next thing, and so should you. And so when you do something, the best thing to do is just move on to the next thing as soon as possible, and just keep it moving.
Yeah.
That's my advice anyway.
Man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because Gabe had a question about trolls and whatnot, so that answered that question instantly.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some quick questions for you. First of all, right now, favorite YouTuber currently?
Oh gosh. Probably.
Oh,
There's a guy
gosh.
named Potato Jet who does gear reviews. I like him a lot. I watch a lot of Philip DeFranco. I watch Linus Tech Tips. I've been watching Linus Tech Tips for years, and I'm really excited because I just connected with one of their people who you guys probably don't know about. His name is Riley, and I'm supposed to interview him on Saturday, so I'm like super stoked about that. It's weird. Like I get excited about small celebrities, you know. But I met Philip DeFranco. If you don't know who he is, he's like a news channel, and I met him at an event, and I got so dumb because like I'll meet big celebrities and I'll be chill, but I met him and I'm like, I know you. Oh no, I don't know. I watch you, but okay. So I used to support you on Patreon, but now I don't. But you don't need my help on Patreon. It was like so stupid and awkward, and he took it very graciously. He was totally cool with it. I walked away with my tail between my legs, and I'm like, Achara, can you get his contact so we can interview him? And she did, and I never called him because I was too nervous. Because it's just like it's too much. Like there are certain because like I watch him all the time, and so it's like I guess that's why it has a greater impact on me than meeting someone like Sylvester Stallone or whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah. Oh,
gotcha.
me? My
Yes,
turn.
please. Yeah.
I'll go with Jackie Ina. I like
I have no idea who that is.
beauty YouTubers. I'm well into that stuff. So yeah, I like her. She's fun. Yeah.
I like
Awesome.
on the Indian side, I like Jordandian a lot.
Oh
I
yeah.
love their content.
They're
I mean, there's a
great.
lot of great content creators on the Indian side. A lot. It's like it's hard to just pick one, but off the top of my head, I think that like the one that I find very rewatchable is Jordandian. Like I can go back to their stuff
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
And they're super funny guys
Yeah.
too.
And we made friends with another YouTuber that I really appreciate named Samay Reina.
Oh yeah.
Like he's just extremely funny. Like off the cuff, because we did a live stream with him again recently, and just like his ability to just throw this joke out of his ass, and it's super funny. And it's like it doesn't matter that we're from different continents. It's hilarious still.
Yeah.
You know, it has little to do with the fact that I have some knowledge of Indianness or Indian stuff or India. Like his jokes are universal, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, being funny is not easy. I got to work on my material. I actually stay up at night, right? Hold on, no, that's not fun. That's not going to hit. I got to, let me do this because that's all I bring to the channel, honestly. That's all I bring to the channel. That guy does everything else. So I'm pointing the wrong way. He does everything else. So I got to work on my material.
I find that I just do what my dad does and just own the dad jokes and just keep throwing them out there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you just keep throwing them out there, and like half of them are going to suck. You just edit those out. One is good. That's all you need. You just need the good ones, you know. And sometimes it's fucking awkward. Excuse my language. Sometimes it's awkward. Like I'll say a joke and Achara will just blow past it, or it's this awkward silence between us, and I'm like, we're leaving that in the video because that's hilarious. I love that it got stupid awkward there. You know, like we had an edit. She did an edit last night. I believe was it last night? I think it doesn't matter. It was last night. It was last night, and she's like, "Is it cool that I do this?" Because it was this thing where it looks like it could be interpreted that I didn't like the trailer because of how awkward it was between us. I'm like, that's fucking hilarious. Just keep that in there.
Yeah, because it was one of those moments where we were like, I was like, I thought he was going to speak, and then he didn't speak. He thought I was going to speak, and then
yeah, I love awkward humor though. We have a short film on the channel called Desi Date, DESI Date, that I hope you guys will watch. And that speaks to the awkward humor that I love. Yeah.
Well, talking about awkward humor, you know, The Office, I did notice that in your credits for one of the videos of you, or one of your short films, it said Michael Scott. Do you really know a guy named Michael Scott, or is that like an inside joke to Michael Scott from The Office?
Michael Scott was my best friend. He's no longer in my circle because of a tragic accident that happened to him. He's not the same guy anymore. But he was my best friend for years. Yeah.
Okay. So
that was his actual name, and people always thought it was a joke.
Gotcha.
And he was a big fan of The Office.
I agree. You got to own the dad jokes 100%. All right. Gabe, your question, my friend.
DC or Marvel?
Depends what you're talking about. Are you talking about movies or comics?
Oh, I love that answer. That answer. Comics first.
As far as comics go, DC easily. As far as films go, Marvel. I think Marvel they obviously have it fleshed out. DC looks like it's on its way, but it's just like with Marvel, it's you can bet on it, you know.
Right.
Absolutely. Achara?
Well, I haven't really read the comics, so I can't speak to that. But I hate this question. But I will have to say Marvel, just because I enjoy more Marvel films, and
Right.
I loved the X-Men cartoon growing up. But saying that,
Yes.
Wonder Woman is one of my favorite.
The first one.
The first one. No,
Yes.
1984.
We
The
we
first one
agree
was
on that opinion.
brilliant. Yeah. So
That's awesome. All right. So here's a question for Jaby about Achara. And if you don't want to answer, that's okay. And this is an honest question. Is Achara really as amazing as she seems on the channel? Because she just seems like a woman that's got it put together, and she's just got everything she does touches gold. Is that the real Achara? I got to know.
She's more amazing than she comes off on the channel, but she's also a monster. That's the truth.
We needed a Achara in our life. We needed a Achara in our life.
Like there's stuff that happens off camera that most people don't get to see, and I think that her contribution is obviously beyond noteworthy. But like people, the thing about it is when you're in the same space with someone a lot, you're gonna be down each other's throats sometimes about the most mundane of things, and so we've had yelling bouts with each other. We're not afraid to mention that. It's like when you're in the same space with someone a lot, you're going to have that kind of tension, and you have to be comfortable with that tension. You have to be comfortable with fighting for your perspective on something. And sometimes you'll have moments where you're not even talking to each other because you're so livid. And so I've seen her bad side.
Yeah.
So she's way cooler than she comes off on camera, but she's also got that other side.
Dark side.
Yeah.
Because I got to follow up, Achara. You come off as amazing. I just want to say that. Mad props to you. I think the best YouTube channels, especially in the realm of film, Indian film, American film, is to have some kind of partnership, some kind of team. And you guys do it amazingly. So good on you.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. My questions are all silly. Team Jacob or Team Edward? America wants to know.
Oh, God.
Probably Team Edward, because watching him, even though I didn't like the film, watching him in Tenet, I was like, oh my God. He's actually really good. Like, I'm actually impressed because I wrote him off because of Twilight. And every time he had a trailer come out, I'm like, whatever. I just rolled my eyes and moved on to the next thing. But then I saw him in Tenet. I'm like, he is the most remarkable thing about that movie. And it's a Christopher Nolan movie. So, I fell in love with him in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I thought that he outacted John David Washington. See?
Yeah. 100%.
I think John David Washington is a stellar actor, but that was not a good role for him. For so many reasons. Like, he just did not carry that movie very well. And I think the biggest reason is he didn't know what the hell was going on. It's like he just, if you look at some of the behind the scenes, he's like, you just roll with it and hope that it's going to work out, like The Matrix, like you just hope. And in The Matrix, it worked out really well. In Tenet, it did not. So, yeah.
And my apologies for cutting you off there, Achara. You were saying?
Oh, no worries. I was going to say, Arpats is great as an actor. Love him.
Yeah.
In the books, I would be Team Edward. However, in the movies, Team Jacob, because what the hell, Arpats? Like, you knew you were going to take your shirt off. Why didn't you do some push-ups or sit-ups? Like, I was so disappointed. I mean, that sounds awful. I mean,
but see, Jacob, okay, but the actor who played Jacob, I actually have a sort of history, not with him directly, but like we have a shared history, because he trained at a studio called XMA, and that the guy who owns XMA, his name is Mike Chat, and I actually took classes for a short while under Mike Chat, and so Team Jacob, Jacob is like, he grew up in that area, whereas Robert Pattinson did not.
I know.
So crossing my fingers for Batman. Hope that works out. He's he trained with some friends of ours for Batman, and so I'm hoping that it all pans out.
And they only had lovely things to say about him as well. So.
Yeah, the friend I'm thinking of had nothing but good things to say about Robert Pattinson. Yeah.
That's cool. I'm just asking because as an adult with children, my wife is Team Jacob, and sometimes that upsets me because I don't have 6-packs and I don't look that way. So, just asking.
Speaking of push-ups, Jaby, how many push-ups did you do when you were filming Hunter? I mean, because you were jacked, my friend. You were jacked.
At that time, I think that was at the peak of my training because like something had happened. I broke up with a girl or something.
It's always a girl.
I think that
Isn't it?
you know,
Isn't it?
yeah, it usually has to do with a girl whenever a guy gets into shape. I think because I had broken up with her and I saw the new guy that she was with, and I was like, that guy is yoked, and so I need to get in shape.
Yes.
And so my whole
Love it.
diet changed, and I was at the gym for crazy hours. I remember there was this one evening where I was at this party, and I like everyone was doing like weed or something like that. And I was like, this is not my scene. It was midnight. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the gym at midnight. 24-hour fitness is always open. So I headed over to the mall, and because that's where it was. And I was there till 5:30 in the morning. I worked out for 5 hours. And it was like it was noteworthy because it was the only time I'd ever done that.
You're
Because
crazy.
like I was on the elliptical for like usually I did 30 minutes, right? And then I was like, maybe I can go 45. And I went 45, maybe I can do an hour. And then eventually it was 2 hours. I was on the elliptical and I'm like, I should just stop. So I stopped, and then I did weight training for 3 hours. And it was like every day I was doing something like that. I had a very strict diet, very strict workout regimen. And then when we did Stalker, I was doing push-ups in between takes. Because you have to maintain that. I don't know. You have to maintain that. You only maintain that look by doing push-ups, by
Probably
doing the
swole.
exercise. Yeah, because
Swole
otherwise,
again.
otherwise it retreats into your body. It's really frustrating.
Awesome. Gabe?
You know what? Those are actually the most important questions off of my list. The other ones, like, favorite Indian actor, favorite American actor, they can go to your channel and see that. They probably already know. Okay, mine is Nawaz simply because I love all the bad. I think they get the best material. But that's what he does. He plays bad guys. And
Nawazuddin Siddiqui was definitely my favorite for a long time. And then I discovered Manoj Bajpayee, who has also sort of become a friend of Jaby Koay. And it's like, it's one of those weird things when these celebrities become your friends, because it's like, I don't want to bother them, but I want to say something. And so I saw Manoj Bajpayee in an interview that was like ages ago, and I thought he did a fantastic job. So I texted him and I'm like, Manoj, I thought you said something really, really cool here. And he's like, thanks, Jaby. And I just put my phone down. I'm like, cool, leaving that conversation alone. Like a celebrity actually got in touch with me. A big Indian celebrity got in touch with me this morning. And I was on the toilet and I almost dropped my phone. I was just like, whoa. And I sent the message to her. She's like, oh my God. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's
I love how real you guys are with your answers. These are fantastic answers. I appreciate that. I have a few more questions. All right. This might take a little bit of thought. What Indian film should every American watch?
Gully Boy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest one for an American audience to access. I think it's a good intro. Like, we brought one of our friends who'd never seen an Indian film to watch Gully Boy, and she was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think, like, just to introduce people, maybe it's not like indicative of all Indian films, because like you get the range, but that one's very palatable.
And
I think
if you need something that appeals more to, I guess, dark criminal, what do you call it? The crime genre? I think Ugly is a great film to recommend to people because it's hard hitting.
That's uncomfortable.
It doesn't pull its punches.
Yeah.
And if you need something for the indie audience, I would say Kumbalangi Nights is a great.
Oh yeah, Kumbalangi
Love
Nights
it.
is beautiful. Yeah.
We've seen all those movies and they're fantastic. Me and my wife saw Kumbalangi Nights and absolutely loved it. There was awkward at the right times and it was beautiful at most of the times. So we appreciate you guys so much. We appreciate your time. Boring Review audience, these guys are legends, and they showed up and they helped some small YouTubers like us to get an amazing video out there and to have a great conversation. And I just want to say, honestly, we are huge fans of you guys. We've been watching you since, like I said, we got into the Indian industry and we saw who the leaders are, and we're looking at what you guys are doing. And thank you so much for everything you do for your audience. I can't tell you how many people love you guys, us being some of them. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, man. Thank you
so much for having us.
Yep.
You guys are cooler in real life than you are on your videos, man. Just super I'm serious, man. And listen, we're neighbors. So if you guys are ever in Vegas, hit us up on Instagram, Twitter. You know, I know a lot of people, man, obviously not more than you do, but you know, whatever. Go to the club once COVID shutdown is over. Love to get you guys a drink and all that good stuff.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Be careful what you offer, man. I'm going to take you up on that offer.
Oh, that's true.
Listen, I got you, brother. I got you, man.
Absolutely.
You already know.
There was a lady who was a fan of our channel who lives in Austin, Texas, and I had been eager to get Achara into Austin, Texas, so she could try this place called
Donut 7.
Donut 7, because they have the best donuts in the world, and I'm not afraid to announce that business because I want their business to be alive when I get back to Austin, Texas. And so I said, "Oh, we should go to Donut 7. Like, we should go take a trip to Austin
to have donuts."
And I hit up that friend, and she's like, "I'm in New York right now." I'm like, "Bullshit, you are, you liar." she was probably in New York for real, but it was just bad timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll totally hook you up, like, because we want to come back to Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, we've taken up enough of your time. Again, you guys have been gracious. I can't believe over an hour. My wife doesn't give me an hour. Let's just say it. I'm uninterrupted attention. So thank you guys so much, Nick. I'll leave you with the parting words, my friend.
We just want to say, everyone, thanks for watching this fantastic interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it half as much as we did, and I'm being completely honest when I say that. With all that being said, don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time,
we know all things.